Good morning, everybody. Ben Luciotti here, Medicare specialist with URL Insurance Group. Excited to be joined again by Physicians Mutual. Last time they did the high deductible webinar. Today, we're going to be going over educational cross-selling techniques. I know Mike doesn't love that word, but that's what we're going to be doing. Again, we're joined by Robin Huff and Mike Story. Mike is a national sales training director with Physicians Mutual, speaks directly to agents, really solid background. So excited to have both you guys with us today. Again, if you have any questions, please be interactive, ask in the chat. Mike will answer as we go forward. And yeah, really appreciate everyone joining today. And Mike, floor is yours whenever you're ready.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Robin, you want to say anything as the account rep?
Yeah, well, I just want to say hello, everybody, and thank you so much for coming. I'm here. I'm, your support for all things Physicians Mutual. Mike is very specialized in what he does. I'm so excited to get him on board with us because he can teach you things that'll knock your socks off and be really helpful. So thank you so much for coming. Take it away, Mike.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ben. Thank you for having us again. And thank you, Robin, for that nice introduction. I put my bio up here. And the reason I like to put the bio up here is this. I was talking to Ben a little bit right before this, is that, sometimes there are trainers that do training, right? But there are trainers that do sales training that actually are in the field, that actually do this all the time and have done it for 38 years and going on 33 here at Physicians Mutual. So you can see that I love to help. I love to help agents make more money. I've had, like I said, nine agents, 10, 12 agents that have been the number one in the company at a different time. I've brought on 7 brand new agents over time that ended up being the number one agent in the company their first year as a rookie and things like that. So I hope you're excited about this. I'm gonna take this down, and I just want to kind of start getting right into where we really need to do and how we need to do this. So I'm gonna try and figure this out here. Let's do this. Ben, I'm gonna have you. Can you see what I'm presenting here?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay. So as Ben said earlier, I hate the word cross-selling. Here's why I hate the word cross-selling. Because there's not a senior out there today that wants to be cross-sold. They don't want to be cross-sold. What they want to do is they want to be educated on the choices they have going into retirement. Now, I want you to think about this. They want to be educated on the choices they have when they go into retirement. What they don't want to do is, I'm going to use somebody, say, turning 65, and they're just coming off their group insurance, or they own their own business. They've had ACA, or they had group insurance, things like that. Well, what you're going to see today is I'm going to help you transition that customer into, a customer that is a better customer for you than just somebody that goes out there, walks into their house, or gets them on a Zoom, or gets them on the phone call and says, you need a Medicare Advantage plan. How in the world do you know they need a Medicare Advantage plan when you haven't even talked to them hardly before? You just got the appointment. Or how do you know they need a Medicare supplement plan? Or how do you know they need anything? How do you know that without doing some type of analysis? And so what I'm going to share with you here today is the client assessment tool that I have probably used over the last 20 years at least, that is really, really effective. And the one thing I will say to you today is this. Are you selling more than one product per appointment? Now, I know that if you're on an MA, if you sell MAs and you got to do the scope of appointment, I'll get that out of the way. You can talk about dental, right? With that happening. But how do you educate the customer before they decide to purchase a product? How do you do that? So let's go through this. So right here, you notice I have their client name, the spouse name, everything like that. In every one of my clients' client files, you will see this client assessment. Because if I ever get sued someday, guess what? When the attorneys go and they subpoena all my files, first thing they're going to see is a client assessment that I was able to, the recommendations I made are based on the information the customer gave me from their assessment. And believe me, I never have problems with getting this information from customers. Because once you see it, you're going to say, well, God, Mike, that's so easy. So what I tell them in the appointment and say, hey, before we get started today, and before we make any decisions about Medicare, because that's really what I'm here for, right? What I'd like to talk to you is about your health, life, and retirement planning, okay? So that's what I do for a living. I help people with their health insurance, their life insurance, their retirement plannings, things like that. So really, what did I do just up front? I've already established myself as more than a Medicare broker. I'm more than that. I got my life and health license because I always ask brokers when I speak on the road, I say, hey, how many of you got your life and health license? And most of them in the room raise their hands. Well, guess what happens next? I said, so then who from the Department of Insurance told you that you only can sell Medicare products? And then everybody looks at each other in the room. They're like, well, nobody, Mike. Then why do we do that? Why do we stop at selling Medicare and then we try to go back later down the road to cross-sell? Don't do that, okay? Don't do that. So what I'd like to share with you and what I'm going to dive into today is what we call the retirement checklist. The retirement checklist, Ben's, I know, recording this, so you will be able to hear the language in which I use to help you make more money. There's also another class I teach, and I call it, if I could double or triple your income per appointment, would you join me in a webinar? Well, of course, everybody says yes, Mike. So with that being said, let's dive right into the retirement checklist. So if you're new to Medicare, okay, if you're new to Medicare, here's what I will say to the customer. Hey, before we get started today, I just want to make sure that I have all the correct facts in order to help you make a decision on your Medicare. And what I'm going to ask you is this. I'm going to ask you about what benefits you used to have while you're working, okay? And just do your best at getting this information, okay? Because here's what I want to explain to you today. And Ben, I'll just use Ben's name, okay? Ben, what I like to do today is this. I just want to make sure that your benefits package in retirement, okay? Your benefits package in retirement is as good as or better than what you had while you were working. Is that okay? I just want to make sure that your benefits package in retirement is as good as or better than what you had while you're working, okay? Because remember this, folks, while we were working, like before people go into retirement, they all had a benefits package at work, almost all of them. And every year, probably around November, they have to make an election. Do they want to be on the group insurance for 2026? Do they want to have their spouse and dependents on it? Do they want dental coverage? Did they maybe want a cancer policy? Maybe Aflac or Allstate or somebody came in to the business and talked to them about those type of policies. Do you want 1 times, 2 times your life insurance amount? Do you want some extra dependent coverage? Okay. What is it that you want from your benefits package at work? Do you want vision? Do you want hearing? Do you want prescription drugs? Do you want short-term disability? Things like that. And then how much are you going to contribute to the 401k at the business? So you think about it. This is the benefits package that they get to choose each and every year while they're working. Now, what I'm also going to throw up here is this. Remember this. 80% of all people on group insurance today have a high deductible health plan at work. They have a high deductible health plan at work. What does that mean? They probably have a minimum of a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 deductible. That means that they have to pay the first $5,000 out of their pocket before they get any help. And then they get into co-insurance and co-pays. And then they have a max out of pocket. So Ben, I'm just going to pretend here that you're retiring. And I just want to make sure that I go through what you used to have for health insurance. Now, Ben, do you remember, and I'm just going to throw out numbers, Ben, do you remember what you were paying for your family coverage at work? And then you might say, well, Mike, that was about $600 a pay period. Oh, I need to get rid of that there. So I'll say $600 a pay period. So that's about $1,200 a month. Okay. It's about $1,200 a month. You know, and what was that deductible, Ben? And you might tell me, well, Mike, it was $3,000. And then we had a max out of pocket of $12,000 for the family. Okay. And, you know, Ben, did you have any HSA dollars? And Ben says, oh, yeah, I had a little bit in there. I have about 10,000 sitting in there. Okay. So when you think about it, now he's going on to retirement. The kids are coming off the group or whatever. And just now you and your wife are going to be on it at $1,200 a month. Okay. Well, you can see if you wanted to, I could get you a supplement that, hey, heck, it has a $283 deductible. It has no co-pays, no deductibles, and it has a max out of pocket of basically $283. And that's what I'd be talking about, Plan G. And I could get you a Plan G for probably, you know, I don't know, $150 a month, Ben, and you're paying your $202.90 for your Part B premium. Heck, I could get all of this to you. How does that look? For $352 a month, I can get you a heck of a lot of better coverage than you had at work. How's that sound? And so I could just throw that out, okay? Just to do a quick comparison. So those of you that are seeing this for the very first time, you're like, well, heck. But here's what I want you to understand. Seniors are visual people. Seniors like color. You have to understand the dynamics of who you're talking to. So when I just did that and I show them, hey, you could get a supplement for $283 for $150, with only a $283 deductible versus you're paying $400, $500, $600, $700 for health insurance with a $3,000 deductible and a $6,000 max out of pocket. When you compare the two, which they will start doing, they're like, well, God, Mike, this is going to be a good deal. And I'm like, yes. So we need to find out what their benefits package looked like at work. And really what we're going to do is we're going to compare it to what we're going to give them in retirement. That's all you're doing. So then as I go down and I get more information, I just say, Ben, now, did you happen to have dental coverage while you're working? Yes, we did, Mike. Well, what were you paying for that? Oh, I think we're paying $60 a month for that. Oh, okay. What was the deductible on that group plan? Because they're all $50 or $100. So I throw that out. Hey, what was your deductible? $50 or $100? Well, it was $100 per person, Mike. Okay, great. And then what's the max benefit? They all are about $1,500 or $2,000. Well, great. You know, maybe in retirement, I could get you a plan for about the same amount of money, $60 a person, with no deductible, no caps, unlimited benefits. It pays 70% for basic and major services. Preventative services, it pays immediately. Over 700,000 dentists in the network. You have no coordination of benefits. We pay whatever we pay, and we pay for over 400 procedures, almost more than any other dental plan in the market today. We could get that to you in retirement, but I'm not going to dwell on that. I just want to share with you what we're doing here. And do you have any type of extended cancer protection? And the customer is going to probably ask you, well, what do you mean by that? Well, you know, in the event that you ever were diagnosed with cancer, do you have anything that's going to pay you a lump sum? Or let me just ask you a quick question. And here's the question to help all of you sell cancer with critical illness riders. Here's the question. Ben, have you ever known anyone or anybody in your family ever had cancer? Well, if you think about it, folks, the answer to that question is yes, every single time. Everybody knows of someone that had cancer or somebody in their family. So if there's been nobody in the family ever have cancer, great, but they know someone. And the next question you ask is, who? Who are you thinking about? Most of the time, they will talk to you about a family member. If they talk to you about a family member, I don't know that all of you know this, but if you go to the American Cancer Society's website, you will see that if you have cancer somewhere in your family, and what I mean by that is this: grandma and grandpa, mom or dad, aunt or uncle, brother or sister. If any of those people have cancer, you now have a 70 to 80% chance of getting cancer because those genes are hereditary, folks. And you can read all about that in the American Cancer Society website. So, with 70 to 80% chance of getting cancer, we should probably get that protected, shouldn't we? See how I said that? And they might tell me, well, yeah, Mike, we probably should look at that. Great. Yeah, we should look at that. Yeah, Mike, we need to look at that dental too. Great. And then also too, let me just ask you, while you were working, what type of life insurance did you have? Was it 1 times, maybe 2 times your salary? How much was that? And then let me ask you a quick question. Are you taking that into retirement? Was it 1 or 2 times your salary? They'll tell me, and I'll just ask them, well, what was the purpose of that? Why did you really need that? And they'll tell me what that is. And maybe they tell me, well, Mike, it was 1 times my salary, and that was $100,000. Well, let me ask you this. What are you going to do in retirement when you lose this? Are you taking that with you? Because here's what I hate to tell everyone. As we go into retirement, we're closer to passing away than we ever were the rest of our prior life. Okay. We're getting older now. This person's 65. They're not 45 and 55 no more. So what I never did understand is this: why people that talk Medicare brokers, why they don't talk about life insurance. It's one of the most important products that we sell. A lot of us have our license to do it. Why do we shy away from the discussion? I know it's not fun talking about death. I get it. But here's what I'm going to tell you, a quick scenario. Let's say that you had a couple and they both had $2,000 a month of Social Security. $2,000 a month of Social Security. So in essence, they have a $4,000 income. They're not really saving any money anymore. They have a $4,000 a month retirement income. Okay. This is Social Security. And guess what? And they really live on all 4,000. Like I said, they probably may even have to pull a little bit out of savings once in a while. But the sad part about this is this: when it happens and one of the spouses dies, do you know that the Social Security check of that spouse goes away, and now the surviving spouse has to live on her $2,000? How is she going to live on $2,000 when they're used to spending $4,000 plus? Or she's going to have to completely change her retirement dream, isn't she? But isn't it funny how we neglect talking about this? Do not neglect it. Actually, I would lean into it and say, hey, you had 1 or 2 times your salary at work. Why wouldn't you do the same in retirement? Why wouldn't you? Get that answer on why. Get away from the yes, no questions. Use open-ended questions to pull information out of them. Let me also ask you, did you have vision coverage while you were working? Okay. Then how much did you pay for that? Did you have hearing coverage? Did you have prescription drug coverage, what they did? Okay. And then down here, as far as income goes, did they have short-term disability while they were working? Okay. Or they buy a long-term care policy. What did they have? And then let me just ask you, last but not least, did you happen to contribute to a retirement fund like a 401k while you're working? And they're like, yeah, I did, Mike. Well, what did you have taken out of each check? And did the company match it? Oh, yeah, they did this and this. And Mike, well, just kind of round numbers. What do you say you have in there, you think? And some of them may say, well, it's none of your business. And most of them will say, Mike, I got $400,000. Okay, great. Well, let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever looked at any options to help you protect that retirement income against market risk? Maybe that you could keep that money safe and maybe earn 3, 4, 5% down the road where you don't have to take any risk at all. They're like, well, no, Mike, I really haven't thought about that yet. Well, so those of you that sell annuities, look what you just found. You just found $400,000. Okay. So in this retirement checklist, you see, I'm really gathering facts right now. Okay. I'm gathering facts on what was their benefits package like while they were working. That's what I'm doing. And now I'm going to help them put together the retirement benefits package. So somebody's going to ask me, well, Mike, how do you do this if you got to have a scope of appointment? And so my question to you is this: why do I need a scope of appointment to do this? I didn't try and sell them a Medicare Advantage plan. I didn't try and sell them a prescription drug plan. I don't need a scope of appointment to do that. And if I wanted to be honest with all of you, this should be your scope of appointment when you first go into an appointment. Because I don't know, and I've never known over 38 years, how you recommend an MA plan or how you recommend a Medicare supplement plan to someone, and you don't know anything about them. How do you, or why would you go in with a preconceived notion, I'm going to sell this today? How do you do that? I don't know how you do that. But here's what I can tell you what happened. On average, when I had my sales office a couple years ago for the last 20 some years, we averaged about 2.7 sales per appointment using this method. Because look at this. I know that I'm going to sell a Medicare product. It might not be a supplement. It could be an MA plan. It's okay. But look what the check boxes are. I already know that I'm already selling a dental and a cancer because they've already agreed to it. So right here and then I already sold 3 products. And sometimes I haven't done this. Now, what I'm going to share with you is this. Let me undo all of this. I'll give you a quick story and why you maybe need to do this. Okay. And I remembered it, Ben, so you didn't have to cue me up here. So in the particular situation, I told Ben about a story this morning about a broker that I had that wrote us $473,000 annuity. Okay. And so he went out and he talked to this husband and wife when they were turning 65. They're coming off a group, and he did this. And he went through everything, and he ended up writing a med sup and a dental, and I think he wrote some life insurance, and he helped them with their prescription drug plan, things like that. But what he said to them was this, he says, I help people with safe money alternative to stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. I help people with safe money alternatives to stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. So that when you get ready and you want to talk about this 401k, I would be more than glad to talk to you about some safe money options. And people are like, oh, okay, yeah, we have somebody that already does this. And, they gave them the yada, 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 already have an advisor. Great. That's great. But he goes, okay, I just wanted you to know that. So it was about 2.5 years later. His name is Eric. Eric got a phone call, and it was these people that he sold a med sup, the dental, and the life to. And it was the gentleman and said, hey, Eric, I remember you saying something about safe money alternatives to the market. I remember you did that. And he goes, I think I want to talk about my 401k that I had. Because what he did is originally he got with a financial advisor. They rolled it over into an IRA. They put it into some mutual funds. And the guy just didn't like, the ups and downs of the market. He felt uneasy. So he talked to Eric. And when he did, they talked about an index annuity, and he put him into an index annuity. Okay. So if you really think about it, because he did this diagram and used the retirement checklist, the guy remembered that he was more than just a Medicare broker. He realized that he had a great, great broker on his hand that could help him with multiple things. Well, when you think about this, because of what he did and what the guy remembered, when you talk about 473,000 times 0.07% commission, because Eric doing what he did here with the retirement checklist, he made, I don't know if any of you want to do this, but he made $33,110 with this annuity. Made $33,000. Now think about that. How many of you are making that kind of money on your appointments? Okay. Think about that. 33,000 because he went through this. And tell me this, and like I said, this is interactive today, so if you want to move, please do. And if you got questions, please blurt them out, or Rob and Ben read them to me, is this. what happens is this will set you apart from the rest of the brokers that are out there, from the brokers that are just trying to peddle product, or brokers that I like to say, well, Mike, I do cross-sell. Really? You sell them a Medicare product and then you try and go after them 6 months to a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then you try and ram another product down their throat? Really? How about solving all of their needs up front? Going through this checklist, because the only thing you are doing is this. You're just making sure that your customer's benefits package in retirement is as good as or better than what they had while they were working. Okay? So let me back up on that a second and say that again. I just want to make sure, Ben, that your benefits package in retirement is as good as or better than when you are working. Is that okay with you? And then, like, the customer's like, well, yeah, I want the best package in retirement. See how now they start talking? Because now they understand. And when you do this side by side, you know, here you had health insurance while you were working. Okay, now you're going to have health insurance in retirement. It's either going to be A and B in a supplement or an MA plan. Okay. You used to have dental while you were working. Why wouldn't you want dental coverage in retirement, since our teeth get worse as we get older? They don't get better. So if you're shying away from selling dental, I would ask you why. Because dental is the easiest thing to say. Here's what I would say to you. Whether it's the MA plan, whether it's a med sup, I would say this. Did you want dental coverage with your Medicare plan today? Did you want dental coverage with your Medicare plan today? That's all you got to ask. Do you want dental coverage with your Medicare plan today? The answer is yes or no. And guess what? Do you know what I have found? 8 out of 10 people will say yes. They don't even ask you the premium. If they ask you the premium, well, it's just a couple bucks a day. What's a couple bucks a day? That's less than $60 a month. Our high-end plan that pays so good, it's rated #1 in the industry, is only $56. That's less than a couple dollars a day. But you see the language in which I'm using. I'm trying to help you all make more sales. Did you have any type of extended cancer protection? Well, Mike, what's that? Well, in the event that you ever got cancer, I'd send you a $10,000 lump sum check. I'd pay you $16,000 a year for chemotherapy, radiation, all those things. If you're in the hospital, you go through hospice, I'll give you $10,000. And it's a plan that just keeps you paying you each and every year as you fight cancer over and over and over. What are your thoughts on that? Get their thoughts. And hey, you know, you used to have 1 or 2 times your salary at work. We should probably make sure you have some type of life coverage in retirement, shouldn't we? See how I'm phrasing those things? And the next thing you know, see, they had life insurance while they're working. Why don't they need it in retirement? They do. They used to have vision and hearing coverage and prescription drug coverage while they're working. Why don't you give it to them in retirement? Okay. So you just want to make sure that their benefits package in retirement actually resembles or is better than what they had while they're working. And that's why, as you see here, I don't like the word cross-selling. I like the words is, hey, as Medicare brokers, we're solving people's needs up front like we should be. We shouldn't just be selling a Medicare product and then waiting 6 months to a year and calling them back and say, hey, I need to help. Hey, I got this hospital indemnity plan. Hey, can I come talk to you about it? Why do we do that? Why do we do that? And then also too, I want to be on your side, because I'm all on your side, is this. When you sell a Medicare supplement plan, let's say you're making, I don't know, $400. Okay. You sell a dental plan and you're making $225. And you sell a cancer plan, maybe the commission's about $300. You sell a nice final expense guaranteed issue life or a term policy or something like that, and you make $700. Well, let me ask you this question here. If you do that and you solve people's needs, you had just made, what's that, 700, 300, 1,000, 1,225. You would make on this particular appointment for this particular person about $1,625. Let me ask you this question. That's how much you would have made in commission on this particular one. Okay. $1,625. Are you making $1,625 per appointment today? Or are you just making the Medicare supplement or the Medicare Advantage commission and you walk away? Because if you walk away, you're not helping your customer. You're not solving their needs. I believe in my heart that every senior should go through an exercise like this to help them, because I thank a lot of you that if you're selling in my area here in Arizona and Iowa in the summertime, if you're not doing this and I'm coming in behind you, I want to thank you. I cannot thank you enough for leaving all of this on the table for me. I can't thank you enough. And especially when you're not talking about long-term care, short-term home health care, you're not talking about annuities, I thank you. Why? Don't do that to yourselves. Become that full-time agent that actually solves the needs and not just their Medicare needs. I talk to people all the time. They're like, Mike, my Medicare lady, she didn't tell me anything about this stuff. Or my Medicare guy didn't tell me anything about it. Well, that's the sad part, because the Medicare guy, the Medicare lady that they had is somebody that has their health and life license. So why are we shying away from this? So Ben, what I would like to do is entertain some questions about this. And I'm going to go back up here to the front to talk about how I tell the people right up front. I help people with their health, life, and retirement planning. That's what I do. Let me ask you a few questions about this. I have never had anybody tell me, Mike, I'm not giving you this information right here. They all will give you this information if they remember what it is from when they're working. There's nothing to hide here. Have I had people say, Mike, it's none of your business about my retirement money and things? Yeah, I've had that. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I just like to share an idea with them. I might share an idea with them real quick. And if I share that idea with them, sometimes they'll budge. And I'll just say to them is this: money can do one of three things. Money can go up, money can stay the same, or money can go down in value. If you have a chance to eliminate one of these three arrows, which one will it be? And every single time they say, well, Mike, that's a no-brainer. That's the down arrow. That's the one I would eliminate. And I said, well, great. That's what I do. That's how I help people with their retirement accounts. What I talk to people about, you can't lose money. You can only keep the money the same, or it will increase in value, but it will never go down as long as you don't surrender the contract early, right? So if you have an index annuity, you'll never lose money as long as you keep it the full duration of the contract, and it will only go up. And they're like, well, Mike, I like that. Next thing you know, they start spitting out about all their money. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Okay. But also, too, I would like to share with you, and this is one big document. It's about a 6-7 page document. Here's the checklist if you run into somebody that's already on Medicare. Okay. They already have a Medicare supplement. They already have a Medicare Advantage plan. Okay. You can compare the two if you want to do that. If you're trying to replace that, or you're trying to help them out, or they just don't like the MA plan like they did in the beginning, or what vice versa, or the med sup's getting too expensive. They need a cheaper alternative. Okay. Whatever it is. But then you go into, okay, well, it's important for me to understand to help you with your retirement benefits package. What do you have? Do you currently have dental coverage? And if they say, well, Mike, I've been on Medicare for 5 years and I don't have no dental coverage. Well, how do you feel about that? Are your teeth getting better or getting healthier as you get older? They're like, well, no. Well, then we should probably look into some dental coverage, shouldn't we? And the next thing you know, they say, yes, man, I'm checking that box. We're going to talk about this. Let me ask you, do you have any type of extended cancer protection? Let me ask you that question again. Have you ever known anybody in your family ever had cancer? They're like, well, yeah. And they talk about it, and I talk about it. And next thing you know, they talk about how their dad had cancer. Well, unfortunately, you have a 70 to 80% chance of getting it. And let's go on and on. We should probably talk about it. Okay, Mike, we'll talk about it. Next thing you know, I have 2 possible sales. Now, if you want to call them cross sales down the line, if you want to, I don't have a problem with that. I just have a problem with the word cross selling up front, when we should really be talking about hey, how about just solving people's needs up front, taking care of their problems, taking care of their future needs when it comes to insurance products. Okay. I don't need to sell them a Medicare product and then 2 or 3 years down the road try and cross sell them some more products because my manager or somebody told me to go do that. Don't do that. Okay. And then also too here, as you can see, hey, let me ask you, do you happen to have any type of life insurance coverage? Because most people don't. I was just wondering, have you done any type of life insurance planning in the last 10, 12 years? Well, no, not really, Mike. I said, well, let me ask you, have you done any type of income replacement planning? You see where I'm going now? Have you done any type of income replacement planning? Because if there's a husband and wife or 2 partners or whatever, 2 people maybe just living together or whatever, if one of them dies, they only get the largest of the 2 Social Security checks. They don't get to keep both of them. So all of a sudden, the survivor all of a sudden doesn't have as much money to live on. And that could be a key component. Plus, what I'm trying to help all of you do, is there anybody that really would like to make $600 to $1,200 to $1,500 on a life insurance policy? A little extra money for your pocketbook. And then also too, you know, their vision probably is not getting better. Their hearing probably isn't getting better, especially, I'll say this kind of jokingly, but us guys, you know, maybe we got some selective hearing a little bit, and probably some of you out there would agree with me on that, right? And then we help them with their prescription drug, the annual review and things like that, right? To help them with that. So, you know, with our dental plan, you know, what I rattled off some of the benefits in being with no caps, no deductibles, pay 70%. It's better than 99.9% of all products out there is this. We have a vision and hearing rider on our dental plan that you can add to that, which would be a great addition to them while they're in retirement. And then, you know, like you said, any type of, you know, if some of you might be RSSAs or Social Security experts, you might want to help them with their Social Security planning, things like that, and their retirement accounts. Okay. Questions that I could answer regarding all of this that I went through.
Well, the only question I have out here is somebody can't see your document. I can see it, so I'm not sure if anybody else lost the document. I'm able to see it.
Ben, can you see it?
I can see it too. Yeah.
Okay, something might be wrong.
Okay.
So also too, you know, here's some information that you probably are going to have filled out before you even go on the appointment. If you do in person, if you do Zoom, you're still going to have some of this information. Here's a section that you can take notes in. And then at the end of this document, I'm not going to really, I can maybe go over this real quickly, but as you'll see here at the end right here is their Medicare number, what drugs they're on, things like that, that you can put in here and put in there. See as each and every year. And here's a whole last section for all of you. I would highly encourage all of you to have this in your client files, just in case. And, you know, you never know when some crazy family member is going to come along and say, you know, I think I need to sue you because you didn't do what was right for your mom and dad. Okay. I've had that, and I know it's sad, but I've had it happen before. Somebody says that. And so it's not so much fun when that goes on. And
we've got a question.
Oh, good. Go ahead.
It says, this is from Michael. He says, I really enjoyed the information, and I think this is definitely the full package for retirement planning. How long are your meetings with clients? For me, sometimes just educating clients on Medicare Advantage and Medicare supplements can take up to 45 minutes or an hour.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably there. I always like to say I'm there an hour and a half max, because once I go through this, it goes pretty quick. Okay, it really does. And, you know, when you're doing all this, I know I have it sideways right now, but when you go through this, this might take you 20 minutes or so to really help them, 25 or 30 minutes to help them. And then I just dive into real quick. I'll just show with you, and anybody can have my slides if you really want it. I then just dive into this right away. Okay. I'm going to share with you what you've been paying for with your FICA taxes all of your life. What I don't understand is people that go into product immediately. Why do you do that? That is not solving customer needs. People want the education on a Medicare because they don't understand it. It's confusing to them. They haven't been on Medicare all their life. They've been on group insurance, or they've been on ACA coverage or individual health. So what I like to do is say, hey, I like to help them. Here's your part A and here's your part B. Here's your exposures. And I'll write everything out, you know. Like, for example, here over on this thing here, what I will do is this. I will put in the side right here where it says 61 through 90. I will put in how much 30 days times $434 is. So in that particular situation, if you end up in the hospital, you have to pay your $1,736 Part A deductible. If you end up in the hospital for 90 days, you're going to pay these 30 days times $434 a day. That's over $13,020. Okay. If you end up in the hospital for up to 150 days, you will have to pay over $52,000 out of your, okay? That's your exposure. That's why we buy a Medicare supplement plan, to take care of this. We buy it to take care of this. We buy it, if you sell plan G, you buy it to take care of this. You take care of the skilled nursing home per day. But why aren't we educating people on, okay, here's part A. Here's part B. Here's the things that are covered. Okay. And I will, when you see this, I go through this. I'm not talking about a supplement yet. I don't. I just want to show them, if they just had A and B, what they was exposed to, and why, if they stick with A and B, they probably would need a supplement. I talked to them about the part D that's going on, and then I just go into here. And this is a piece that's approved by all the departments of insurance. The Physicians Mutual's file of that. It's not something that Mike Story created. It's a piece that's out there. And what I do is I just go down through comparing a Medicare supplement versus a Medicare Advantage plan. And I go right on down here. It looks like there's 10 different things that I go over. And I just ask the customer, okay? I ask the customer this question. In your mind, do you believe that you should go with part A and B and a supplement? You know, naturally, we're going to do a customized drug plan and a supplement. Or do you think you do not want A and B in a supplement, and you rather go with the Part C plan, the Medicare Advantage plan, that includes the drug coverage for you? Okay. Ask them either way. And then next thing you know, if they say, well, Mike, I want that Advantage plan, you stop and you start talking about the Advantage plan, you got to stop. You got to get your scope of appointment, right? But what I have done up until this point, I didn't need a scope of appointment to do what I've done so far. I don't need that. Because people will say, well, Mike, this and that. Well, when you tell me you need a scope of appointment up front, that means you're product peddling. That means you're trying to sell them an MA right up front. Why are you doing that? You don't know anything about it. You know anything about their situation or anything. I just had a situation where I was talking to someone, and it was a customer, and they're like, Mike, they wanted to know why they were sold a Plan G with the prescription drug plan, a Medicare Supplement Plan G. The guy had $65,000 in his HSA account. He takes no meds. He's a marathon runner. Plays pickleball almost every day besides running. He bikes, he hikes, he extremely fit. You would have never known this guy was 66 years old. You would have never known it. He looked like he was 52, really. But somebody walked into the house and told him a Plan G is a Plan G. That's it. Everybody buys the G. Here's the cheapest G, which won't be the cheapest the next 2-3 years. I can promise you that. But he says, I found this, and it's the cheapest G in the market. See, folks, that is why we insurance people sometimes get a bad name when you do things like that. Okay. Any more questions, Robin? Did I lose Robin? Or Ben, is there any questions out there?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to put together the getting some of these. We're mostly getting requests to get all these materials,
Okay.
so I was working on that. But yeah, everybody's.
And then last but not least, I would share this with you. It's called the healthcare pie. Okay. And it's at the back of the document. And if you want to, it's a good education on Medicare. And what did I say in the beginning? People like colors. Seniors like colors. I like colors. Unfortunately, I'm a senior too. But guess what? And it also helps them understand Medicare too. I've done this a lot in my seminars, my Medicare education seminars, and I get questions about this pie all the time. I also get people asking me if they could have one to take home and put on the refrigerator, which I never understood, but I have seen it on people's refrigerators along with the grandkids' drawings. But what I'm going to do here, and it takes me a couple minutes to do this, is this. Medicare Part A. What Medicare Part A covers is in red, and what Medicare Part B covers is in blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find me a different color that talks about what the supplement would do, or maybe the MA plan would do. So first of all, I talk about this. This is the continuum of care. So as I come around the circle here, these are acute needs. These are conditions that you're going to have, you're going to recover from, you're going to get better from, and things like that. Okay. And they're just going to go away. As we come over here, when we talk about chronic needs of seniors today, this is where those chronic needs come in. They're chronic. They're there for the rest of their life. They're going to battle these type of conditions the rest of their life. Okay. And it also shows that once you get out of your acute needs and you get into chronic needs, and next thing you know, you need some type of home health care at home. And then maybe you're going to adult daycare facility. And then next thing you know, you end up in a nursing home. And then you end up in skilled care because you go back to the hospital. Then you go to the nursing home to get some skilled rehab. And then you just don't recover. And next thing you know, you're in hospice. And the next thing you know, you're passing away. Okay. This is the whole continuum of our life here and how it goes. So here we go. So I just asked the customers this. I'll do this in the Medicare seminars, and I'll talk about doctor's office visits. What part of Medicare covers that? Well, that's Part B. And then I'll ask them what the Part B deductible is, because remember, I've already gone through the education. So I'm just doing teaching. I said, well, that's great. You have your $283 deductible, and then Medicare pays 80%. So in the blue here, that's the 80%. And then the other 20% will have to be paid by the customer or by the supplement plan. Okay. And if you had an MA plan or something like that, you might have to have a copay. When it comes to dental office visits, what part of Medicare covers that? And I like to ask this to the customer because I want to see how much education they know. So think about that. So dentist office visit. Okay. Well, Medicare doesn't have anything to do with that. So you leave that blank unless they buy a dental policy from you. Okay. And then the next one is the pharmacy visit. That's Part D. If you do their prescription drug plan for them and you know what it is, then color it in because you took care of that. Okay. If you haven't helped them and you just left them hanging out there, then don't color it in because you don't know whether they have it or not. Okay. And then the next thing you have is lab diagnostic and radiation. I just asked what part of Medicare covers that. And hopefully they talk about Part B, and then that's 80-20. Now, if they're trying to diagnose something, then what could happen? That could be paid at 100%, but that would be 80-20. Then either the supplement or the customer has to pay the 20. Okay, especially if you have our innovative G plan. Okay, we all know what that is after last week. When it comes to outpatient services, what part of Medicare covers that? Well, that's Part B, and that's 80-20. So either the customer or the supplement's paying the 20% or the co-pays for the MA plan. You can talk about that. Okay. When it comes to hospitalization, what part of Medicare covers hospitalization? Well, that's Part A, because I like to call hospitalization inpatient. You're an inpatient in a hospital. And Part B is outpatient. Inpatient, outpatient. I will tell all of you, seniors understand inpatient, outpatient. They don't understand hospital and coverage and medical coverage. That's not how they understand it. So if you have your Part A deductible, if you have to pay that, great. Or the supplement could pay for that. Or you might have so many dollars per day that you're in the hospital on the MA plan. When it comes to durable medical equipment, that's 80/20. That's paid under Part B, right? So now you got 80/20. So that's either the supplement or you're paying the 20%, or you might have co-pays with the MA plan. When it comes to home health care, Medicare does a great, great job with that, okay? If you have the MA plan, you might have some co-pays, or they might pay for it, but either with the supplement or something, the supplement would take care of the rest. Medicare does almost this at 100%. And then what I will do, I will ask them what part of Medicare covers adult daycare. And man, they'll ask me A, they'll say B, and I'll finally just tell them it's none of them. And you could spend up to $100 a day if that's the case for that. Or let me ask you, if you end up in an assisted living facility or a nursing home, you live in a nursing home, what part of Medicare covers that? And the problem is Medicare doesn't cover adult daycare, Medicare doesn't cover assisted livings, and Medicare doesn't cover nursing home or intermediate or custodial, okay? And I just tell them this, at $10,000 a month, how long could you afford to pay $10,000 a month to a facility? That's $120,000 a year, okay? How long could you afford to pay $120,000 a year to a facility for your care? Or I might ask them, they're like, well, Mike, I don't have much money or whatever. And I said, or I might say is, you know, how long could you pay that $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year out of your savings, checking, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, IRAs, 401ks, and other investment accounts? How long could you afford to pay for that? And sometimes what they will tell me is, well, you know, Mike, I could afford to do that for, let's say 4 years. Okay. So then I said for 4 years. So then you would say you would have about $480,000, right? And they're like, well, yeah, somewhere. What they like to say is somewhere around that, Mike. And I'm like, okay, great. Let me ask you, is this money safe? And they're going to go, what do you mean safe? Is it safe? I mean, or is it subject to market risk where it's going to go up and down and it keeps you up at night? Because I have safe money alternatives to stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and I can maybe help you with that. But also, too, if I find out they have $480,000, I can tell you one thing. I'm going to start talking about, I don't know how many of you do this, I'm going to start talking about long-term care insurance or short-term home health care or whatever, something like that, okay? But you're going to leave this blank. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk to them about a skilled. Okay, if you end up in the hospital for at least 3 days, you go to the facility within 30 days and you receive at least 5 days of skilled therapy. You know, that's a $217 a day copay for days 21 through 100. You know, Medicare will cover the first 20 days at 100%, but then the supplement would take care of this, or the customer would, or the MA plan, you might have to pay copays. Hospice, Medicare does a great job with hospice. You don't have to worry about that. When it comes to non-medical expenses like experimental treatments for cancer, things like that, because MedSup doesn't cover it, Medicare A and B doesn't cover it, MA plans don't cover experimental treatments, and neither do prescription drugs, the Part D plan. So then, you know, I might have to talk to them about buying a cancer policy or something like that. And then last but not least, I want to talk to them about final expense planning. Have they done any type of income replacement planning? Things like that. I kind of stay away from the word life insurance right here and just help them with that. And if they want to talk about that and they buy a policy, I'll fill it in. So one of the quick questions, and I'm done here in the next 30 seconds, is this. As you look at this healthcare pie, where do they have needs? Where do they have needs? So if you really want to go back and use that word cross-selling, Ben, in the end, you could go back and cross-sell them, or you could help them with their dental needs. You could help them with their long-term care needs. You could help them with their, you know, index annuity leads or fixed annuity leads if you wanted to. You can help them with a cancer policy. You can help them with a life insurance policy. You could help them with a hospital indemnity policy here, okay, if you want to, or a short-term home health care plan. So what I've really done is I've exposed all of these needs that we want to fill with the products that we all offer for sale. It's just another way to help the customer understand what's happening to them in retirement. Any questions about that?
Anybody have any questions? We're getting a lot of requests for the documents. Mike, I did send them out to Ben already, so he can just send some out to everyone. Judging from the interest in getting the slides, it looks to me like everybody's really happy to get the information, that's for sure. Anybody have any specific questions for Mike? Rita says you are the master of your topic.
I was going to say the same thing.
Well, here's what I can say, Ben, too, and I appreciate all that, is this. The biggest thing is this. It's proven. And as you can see, and I will say this, I did not win these awards if it was not for all of the great agents that would listen to me, that would sit in class or sit on a webinar like this, go through these documents, how to use them, and do things like that. This is the reason that I have these accolades, is because of the great brokers that are out there today that would listen to what I was trying to teach and help them with. I was just helping them try to make more money per appointment, but I was also trying to make sure that the customer was properly educated each and every time my agents or my brokers sat down with them. That was the big deal. And as you can see by some of these accolades, it worked. They did it. You know, and I just had a dinner a couple nights ago with an agent. She just retired and she cried. She's like, Mike, I can't thank you enough for what you did when you moved to, I just moved from Nebraska to Arizona about 11 years ago and took over the office down here. She was here about 3 or 4 years prior to me coming. But over the last 12 years, I mean, she made a killing that allowed her to retire at 60 years old, live happily ever after, and has a renewal stream from all the products that she sold that she's not going to be able to outlive. She's actually had somebody now kind of help take over her business as a junior partner. And she still gets, you know, as her clients give the new agent referrals, she still gets part of that in first year commission and more renewals. She set up a business agreement with that. That's what makes me happy, to see all of you being very successful, but also too, there's a part of me, just because I teach a lot of CE, I want to make sure these customers are taken care of properly. And that's what we should all be doing, is taking care of our customers, because it's the bad eggs that give us a bad rap in this industry. And I don't think we do. We have to study. We have to take tests. We have to do certifications, you know. And you all know about that coming time, you know, come June, July, and August, you're scrambling to take all your AHIPs and your certifications with the carriers, things like that. People don't realize how much education we need to go through and what we need to do. So take advantage of it. Use whatever you did. You know, Robin, I don't know if you got my name and number in the chat or anything like that.
Just put it up. I put it up on the Q&A and on the chat. Mike's email and his phone number. And Rita says she wants to be your full-time student.
Well, like I said, call me anytime, text me, email me, do whatever you want. I'll help anybody. Please. That's what I do is in my job today, is I help people across the country become better brokers and to help you make more money and do it the right way, is what I will say.
Yep. Serving. Everybody wins in that situation, right?
Yep, they do.
Including the customer, most importantly, of course, us. Yeah.
Yep, they do.
Rita, thanks, Rita. It's our honor to give information to the oldies. I guess I'm in there too.
Well, Ben, did you think that's what I was going to present?
That was good. That was good. Really appreciate you guys doing this, Mike. Really appreciate it, Robin, as well. Appreciate your partnership too. You guys are great to work with. So I don't know if you have any more webinars coming up. I feel like we do with you guys at some point. Maybe not.
We can schedule Mike whenever. We've had a couple, but he's a master at laying out, you know, the innovative and the high deductible G. He's a master at getting the dental and apps, and he's a master at doing this. And then pretty soon we're going to have the life product. He can. So you guys, we'll come as much as you want.
Okay, awesome. Well, we really
have we done a dental one yet?
I don't
That
think
one's
so.
fat.
I don't know if we have lately. Maybe not lately.
Not with us, at least. But really
Well,
appreciate you guys doing this. I'll send out this, to the agents that request it.
okay.
I got one more comment in there, Mike. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your talent. There you go. You got a lot of fans in here today.
Yeah.
You got a lot of fans. So,
Yeah.
but appreciate everyone joining today. If you have any questions or not contracted and want to get contracted, let me know and we can do that for you guys. So, again, Robin, Mike, thanks for your time, and we'll do this again soon, I would assume.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ben.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Mike.
care.
Thanks everyone for coming. Bye-bye.